Coach, day 2 at camp, how was the energy level, and what did you guys focus on today?
Energy stayed the same. I think our energy level with this group is always great. The way in which they work, the way they compete, the way they fight for each position, each spot. Today was a very good day.
As you progress towards the first couple of preseason games, what are you hoping to learn about this team in the first weekend?
Well, I think it's just, you use the games as just an extension of training camp. So just figuring out lineups, the fundamentals of our game, if we've got those down, if guys are grasping the concepts, and then just the chemistry that this group is going to continue to create for each other. Number 1, defensively, and then 2, how there continues to be a flow offensively.
We're still early in the process, obviously, so it's just the second day of training camp, but how do you go about kind of figuring out where guys have improved and how to integrate that into what you did last year, or plans or ideas that you had maybe in the offseason? How do you kind of discover new aspects to these teams playing games?
Well, a lot of it is how fast they pick up the things that we've talked about from last year. You always go back into it over and over again with the fundamentals, the things that we talk about as our foundation, as our magic standard of basketball. And then once you see they've grasped that, then you can start to move and progress. And, for guys who have not been here before, it may take a little bit longer, but I think that's the time frame that we give them. A couple days here and there, and then, then the next guy can step in because they may grasp it a little bit faster.
Wendell obviously had the surgery on the left hip during off-season. He's got a wrap during the first couple days of practice. Just how's he kind of responded to the first couple days of contact?
I think he's been great.
Paulo mentioned yesterday that it seems like KCP is like a play or 2 ahead inside of his mind. You notice that from him, and what has he shown you?
Exactly that. I think Paulo hit it right on the head. I think it's the fact that he just knows where to be on the floor, and it goes back to the fact that he has played with some of the game's best players. So he understands the spacing, the time to cut, the time to move, to find the open window that they can pass on the basketball. Defensively, he's always in the right position, but that's what comes, and that's the experience that why we brought him here, is that he knows where to be. He knows how to communicate those situations to guys. So I think it's been great.
With such high goals with the playoffs and whatnot, and learning from last year, how do you stay locked in day to day early on in training?
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the day. We focus on the process. Fall in love with the process of getting better. Focus on the process of daily doing the things that you're trying to achieve. It's us against us right now. Just focusing on how we can continue to improve. Not basing it on anything we did last year. More focus on how we can get better and improve daily for ourselves.
Coach, you're a competitor. To have guys on the roster fighting for spots, fighting for minutes, how much does that elevate it, and how much do you relish that as a coach to see that?
I mean, today was the prime example of that. We got up and down, we played, we were able to scrimmage a little bit. So I think just seeing the competitive nature of these guys and fighting for each possession, guys diving on the floor, making bell plays, getting after it, defensively, talking, communicating, extra pass, making the right play. All of those things are, what we're asking each guy to do, and they've grasped that so far. And so, it's a good issue to have.
Kind of going back on Wendell, is there any sort of balance that you have to have as a coach to kind of bring and integrate him into contact, or is that something that is comfortable with him?
No, he's comfortable going, taking the steps right in.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Wagner?
How we doing?
Good. So 2 days into camp, what stood out to you, and what are some of the areas that you guys have worked on?
I think we worked on more of the basic stuff, kind of how we want to be spaced offensively, and then all the fun defense drills, just to get the basics in, and make sure everybody knows the terminology that we're using for the year, and that kind of sets up the rest of the year, and how the coaches, I think, going to coach us.
Paulo mentioned yesterday that Kenny is a couple plays ahead, 1 or 2 plays ahead in his mind. Do you see that from him on the court, and how has that impacted you?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just super great. Even we're doing stations, and Kenny is always talking to guys individually or the smaller groups, and stuff that he sees or that he's been through in his career, and I think that experience will help us a lot.
This is year 4 for you. How does camp feel different now than it did last year, or especially earlier in your career?
Yeah, obviously I know a little bit more what to expect, and just rain on me. Know what to expect, and know what the coaches want as well, and kind of see me in the responsibility to help some of the other guys out as well.
How competitive were the scrimmages today?
really competitive. It gets real competitive with our group every time, and I think it's always good for coaches that it's easier to get everything a little bit more chilled and teach guys how to play with effort. So you don't got to worry about that.
Getting to see the KCP Suggs backcourt in action in scrimmage, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean it was just 2 days, right? But he's one of the guys that he's talked a lot about or to is Jalen, and they're the first front on defense for us and set the tone kind of on the ball, and I think it's just great to see Kenny taking guys under their wing and starting that line of communication early in the season.
You're obviously more established now, but how do you go about in a training camp showing the new elements you've added to your game and how you integrate that into especially a kind of established group and established core like you guys have?
I mean, I'm not out here trying to show everybody what I worked on. I want to be a productive participant in practice and make sure that we as a team, first and foremost, get the stuff done that we set out to do before the practice. And then once the game starts, it's basketball. And obviously this is practice for me too. I want to work on the stuff that I've been working on and get better at those and kind of prepare for the season. Okay. Thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Day 2 of training camp, what stood out to you the first 2 days, and what are some of the areas that you guys have worked on?
We're playing very hard. I think we have a group that competes very hard. We're getting used to. I'm getting used to everybody, and me, KCP, the new guys. They're acclimating us into the system, very well. I think our communication. We've been working on that, just making sure that's strong and good out of the gates. We'll continue to work on that. So main focus of ours.
What has stood out to you about Coach Mose?
He's a straight shooter, which I kind of knew that already. Got familiar with him, in the league before. But yeah, he's a straight shooter. He has lots of energy. He's great. He's great for the guys. Guys respond to him, really well. And he knows his stuff. Obviously, X and O's. So he's gonna be. It's gonna be a fun ride with him as leading our group for sure.
You've played for different coaches over your career. Being a straight shooter, how does that benefit the players?
It definitely I play for a lot of straight shooters, but it definitely benefits the players. I think like when you could come across, and tell them straight, you speak to them with, holding them accountable with respect. It comes across, in a good way. I think they want to fight that much harder for you. And he's one of those guys that, very personable, wants to know about you, wants to know about your life. And I think that travels throughout the game, throughout just the course of the season.
Jamal said you guys were able to scrimmage for the first time today. What was it like just getting to go up and down a little bit with some of your teammates?
It's fun. It was fun. We were competing. Obviously, some things to clean up and work on for sure, but it was fun. You get out there as a basketball player, you want to compete, so that's what we were doing today.
You've obviously been through some training camps before, but what's the process like of beginning to understand now that you've had a couple practices under your belt, beginning to understand what this team's trying to do and learning it as a new player on the team?
Yeah. Every team has a system, and you just gotta learn how to work that system and learn how to gel it all together. Plus, obviously putting all the individuals into a system, you just gotta figure it out. Especially for me as a point guard, getting to know what certain guys like to do, when they like to do it. Obviously, I played against them a bunch in the past, so I kind of got a feel, but it's always different when you're doing it on an everyday basis. So for me, I'm just picking that apart and trying to figure out the guys as much as possible. Yeah. Perfect.